Nestled between the Niger and the Kaduna rivers, the ancient Nupe Kingdom stretches from Nigeria's central region to its northwest. The Nupe Kingdom is made up of a unique ethnic and cultural blend. As with many prehistoric African societies, ethnic ancestors in a survival quest migrated and settled in farming communities. Some historical sources recount the emergence of a folk hero, Sudi, who defended the Nupe people from Bida domination around the 15th century. Sudi migrated from Bida to Nupe, conquering the territory and declaring himself paramount traditional ruler of all the Nupe people. He assumed the revered title of Atunupe, a role that remains significant to date. Another influential figure who shaped the Nupe Kingdom was Malam Muhammadu Bangana from Birnin Kebbi, later affectionately known as Malam Dendo by the Nupe people. By the 19th century, Bida emerged as the capital of the Nupe Kingdom, transitioning from Rabat. This shift established Bida not only as a political center, but also as the cradle of Nupe civilization, anchored by a cultural identity that has been preserved for centuries. This documentary explores the traditional craft, culinary delight, and unique governance system of the Nupe people. Bida, the capital of the Nupe Kingdom, is governed by one of the most respected monarchs in northern Nigeria, the Atunupe. To truly appreciate this city, one must understand the rich cultural heritage and strong identity of the Nupe people. Traditional craftsmanship has been passed down through generations. In Masaga, Bida, the fine art of glass beads making is deeply rooted in the community's history.
You see, the glass workers in Bida pride themselves with a slogan. Daga Masar, say Masaga. Meaning, apart from Masar, Masar is Egypt. And their area is called Masaga. That apart from these two places, there is nowhere you will find that trade of glass making. They pride themselves with that. And you should know that it's a close occupation. If you are not within their family, you will not be allowed to learn it. You will not be allowed to learn it. Currently, what are they using as raw materials? They use ordinary glass, ordinary bottles that they melt and work with it. But prior to that, they have their own raw materials that they use, which they heat over some period, and they allowed it to melt into molten. And from that molten, they began to cut and mold it into whatever shape they want. Most especially necklace and beads that they use for hand and decorative for royals. Because the glass work is not for the commoner.
Artisans like Umaru carry on the family legacy of glass beads making. He has welcomed visitors from around the globe, all intrigued by this unique craft.
Da zuwa Masari muka taso. Daga Masari muka taso, iyayenmu muka taso har zuwa nan. Shi babanmu sun suka koya mu wannan aiki. Ni ma na koya su yara mu in koya musu. Wani lokaci na neman wannan ba mu samu. Wani lokaci muna neman ba mu samu. Wani lokaci sai mu taso daga nan zuwa Lagos. Wani lokaci mu taso ko daga nan zuwa Kano kafin mu samu wannan. Wani lokaci kasuwa yana yi bacci. Wani lokaci yana bacci. Wani lokaci ma ya taso kai kamar ba za yi wani wake ba. har da nasara suna zuwa.
The history of glass beads production can be traced back to ancient Egypt, with archaeological findings dating as far back as 1365 BC. While global advancements have introduced modern tools and machines for refining these products, glass beads in Africa continue to hold significant cultural value, often used in weddings, festivals, and by royal families.
In those days, the products never stay on ground. Before it is even produced, but before it was produced, the prospective buyers have deposited money. So you produce for the supplier, for the buyer. It was not common. But now, because of technology, because of modern jewelries, the use of glass beads, glass accessories has declined. And anytime you go there, you'll find them there, you can buy if you so wish. The only thing, yes, as you said, is not as beautiful as the modern one. All what they need is for government to invest in it and modernize it. That is one aspect that we are failing. While we appreciate the beauty of products from outside, we can also improve on our own by investing in it, modernizing it to compete with the foreign ones. But we are lacking in doing it. That is our greatest undoing in this part of the world.
Despite the long-standing history of glass beads production in Masaga, there is still a need for adaptation to modern market demands. The finished products require improved packaging and presentation to compete favorably with international brands. Another unique craft in Bida is that of brass making. While various regions practice this act, Swatamokun stands out as the most prominent center for brass artisanship.
This area in itself has been in existence since 1896. The people of this area migrated from as far as Rabat down here. And when they came to this town, they settled with the Emirate Council. It is the Emirate Council who now brings them here, because you could find at that particular time, the inhabitants of this area were found to be doing one work or the other relating to iron, brass, and aluminium. That was the major reason that drove them from bringing those people to settle in this area, and so was named Swatamukun.
Brass production in Bida historically relied on raw materials sourced from the earth. However, modern craftsmen now utilize recycled materials, reflecting an innovative approach to sustainability.
When you have gotten your raw materials, you have to find a container. That container must be a little bit hard, made of iron. And you now put it on the fire. You put your raw materials inside and you continue to blow it with your fire blower, which is the modern one. The ancient one was made of bellow, but the modern one is made of wood. So you continue to blow it until a time when your raw material now melts, be it aluminium, be it brass, be it copper, be it zinc. When it now melts like liquid, you can now pour it into anything or anywhere you design what you want to do with it. If you want to make laddu like this one, you put it in a long iron so that after 3 to 5 minutes, it becomes solid, and you now cut it into pieces with a chisel.
Brass materials are transformed into a variety of products in Bida, with kitchen utensils crafted from brass being particularly popular among women in the community. The Nupe people also take great pride in their culinary heritage. Among many, the unique rice dish known as eje shikafa and bean soup stands out. While other tribes in Nigeria may also recognize this dish, the Nupe have a distinct way of preparing it.
When Nupe people tell you, or a Nupe person tells you eje, it means swallow. But what kind of swallow? Because as we know, swallows are made with different grains. But the one that is peculiar to Nupe people is what we call eje chikafa, or eje jikafa, the swallow made using rice grains. You know, majority of Nupe settlements are along the river Niger banks. So because of that, we have swampy area that is what? Favorable for farming rice. So it is only natural that most of our staple food comes from what? The food we produce ourselves, the one we cultivate ourselves. So most of the major Nupe cuisine is what? Eje chikafa, which is tuwon rice.
Eje shikafa is made from locally grown rice, boiled and mashed until it reaches a smooth and stretchy consistency. This food is celebrated not only for its simplicity, but also for its ability to pair tastefully with rich traditional soups such as the Nupe bean soup.
After the eje chikafa, that's the tuwo, the swallow now, has been prepared, we don't just scoop it directly from the pot into the serving dish. No, we make use of calabash, which we call mangara. Mangara with kantara. Kantara is a piece, is made from a piece of calabash, and that is the serving, like what we have the serving spoon now. It is kantara we use to scoop the tuwo, that's the eje, from our pot. Then instead of putting it directly into the plate, we'll first put it into the mangara first to mold it and give it a very spherical, beautiful shape. Rather than just scoop and put it directly into it will not look neat. But for the Nupe people who want our food not just to be delicious, but it should be inviting to eat. It should look neat. But before you put it in the calabash, which we call mangara, you have to what? Use water to coat your calabash so that when you scoop your eje from the pot into the calabash, it should not stick to the calabash. And with that water, it will be easy to mold. So when you mold it, you can now what? Put it inside of that serving dish, and it will look very neat and beautiful. Instead of in the modern times that you put your tuwo inside a cellophane paper or leather to wrap and no, we use mangara to what? Shape our eje chikafa. For the Nupes, ezowa should be prepared using generous amount of palm oil, because it is that palm oil that gives it its yellow coloring. That is one. You know, when you're preparing soup, you need condiments like or what some people call seasoning, like salt, pepper. For the Nupes, when you're preparing ezowa, it is recommended that you use dry fish, not as protein for your food, but as a condiment for your ezowa. You must use, or you should use, to elevate the taste. And I forgot to mention one other very important ingredient in preparing Nupe ezowa. It is called kulataka. For preparing ezowa, you must include fish and kulataka. Kulataka is what Yoruba people call iru. That's the locust bean. Iru. But in Nupe land, we don't use fresh iru. Our iru, we usually dry it. That is why it is called kulataka, because it is in a dry form. So you have to include your iru Then when your beans is soft, you add your iru to it, you add your salt, your pepper, your generous amount of palm oil, because that is what gives the ezoa that yellowing color. Without sufficient palm oil, your ezoa will be very pale and it will not look inviting. It may not be ezoa again, as it is known traditionally. So that is how we prepare our own.
Beyond eje, shikafa, and bean soup, the Nupe kitchen is home to a diverse array of traditional delicacies. Each dish reflects the region's agricultural bounty combined with cultural influence from centuries of trade and migration. Bida, the heart of the Nupe Kingdom, boasts a rich traditional history dating back to the 15th century, long before colonial boundaries were imposed. The kingdom flourished under powerful rulers like Sodi, a legend credited with uniting the Nupe people.
Bida was in existence long before the foundation of the famous Sweden Nupe Kingdom, which dated back to about 14th, 15th century. Because Bida was one of the principal settlements that formed the core Nupe area. The man Swede succeeded in changing the politics of Nupe because the smaller kingdoms that were in existence, he brought them under his leadership. He unified most of the autonomous community in Nupe land into a bigger mega state that came to be known as Nupe Kingdom.
The 19th century brought significant changes with the Danfodio Jihad, leading to the fall of the Nupe capital in Rabat and the re-establishment of leadership in Bida. This era marked the blending of Islamic influence with Nupe traditions. Bida emerged as the new political epicenter. Here, the Nupe serves not only as a traditional monarch, but also as a symbol of unity and cultural pride.
It started as a hunting ground, become a place of trade. During the war of the establishment of emirates in Nupe land, it became a war camp. And after the war, when Nupe Kingdom was balkanized into pockets of emirates, we have Agaye, we have Lapai, we have Lafia, we have Tsonga. Bida Emirate was the last to emerge. However, its foundation was laid long before then at Rabat in 1833, because it was at Rabat that the Fulani clergymen dispersed and established all sorts of emirates that I mentioned earlier on. And the foundation of Bida Emirate was laid at Rabat when Osman Zaki was appointed after the demise of his father, Dendo, as the emir at Rabat. But his appointment at Rabat at that period in 1833, in the sharing of offices of the emirate, that brought in crisis between Osman Zaki and his brother, Muhammad Saba, who came to be known as Masaba, because he felt that he should be second in command, that is Yerima Oshaba. But he was not. A nephew of him was appointed ahead of him, and that brought the crisis between them. And that crisis lasted between 1833 up to the time that Bida Emirate was founded in 1857. From 1849 to 1857, there was an intruder. So to me, it's not an intruder because he was part and parcel of the Fulanis. The only thing, he happens not to be a Fulani man, and therefore they saw him as not part of them. When he usurped the power, defeated the Masaba leadership, and he became a de facto leader in Nupe land. And that made the Fulanis to unite and fought Umar Bahaushe, which with a decisive war at Bida in 1857, which now marked the foundation of Bida emirate. So it was from then Bida became the political center of Nupe. Bida became the economic center of Nupe. Bida became the commercial center of Nupe. Bida became the diplomatic center of Nupe.
Today, the title of Nupe rotates among three prominent ruling houses: the Usman Zaki House, the Masaba House, and the Umaru Majigi House. This rotational system was established to ensure fairness, balance, and harmony among past rulers.
They are brothers from the same parent. Their ancestor is Muhammadu Monko. He gave birth to many children, about 9. 2 females, 7 sons, 7 males. It is only 2 that became kings. That is Usman Zaki and Mama Saba. Understand? Others are also there. Now, these are the people, his descendants. These descendants are referred to as Mwachinji. That is the royalists. They are the people that are entitled to become kings. But these 2, that is Usman Zaki and Masaba, were the first set to rule in Bida. Then they didn't start there. They started from Rabah. There's a town called Rabah. That's where they started before relocating to Bida. Now, Usman Zaki ruled first from 1856 to 1859. Understand? Now, when they arrived in Bida, each of them found quarters to themselves at a very wide places. Understand? Usman Zaki started. When he died, his younger brother Masaba took over from 1859 to 1873. Now, the eldest brother of them all was called Mama Majiji. He even died before their father. Understand? So his son, now it was the turn of his son. That's how they did it. Instead of the father that died earlier, they now gave the throne now to the son, which is Umaru Majigi. So Umaru Majigi is a grandson to Muhammadu Monko, a nephew to Usman Zaki and Masaba. So he now ruled. Understand? That's how the 3 houses were established from Umaru Majigi, and the rotational system started from then. Understand? So when Usman Zaki died in 1884, so the rotation now went to Usman Zaki. That's the first house where the present emir emerges.
From the rhythmic beats of drums to the wisdom enshrined in the throne, from the enticing aroma of bean soup to the shimmering glow of brass, the Nupe Kingdom thrives on its rich heritage. Primarily farmers, fishermen and traders, the Nupe people benefit from fertile land and a riverine environment that offers abundant resources, including rice, millet and yams. Today, Bida is a picture of the delicate balance between tradition and modernity. While the younger generation explore diverse cultures in the digital age, the essence of the Nupe is carried on in their language, values and communal life.